Hi, welcome to Insuretech Connect. I'm Brad Weisberg, founder and CEO of Snapsheet, and I'm excited to talk with my personal friend who also happens to be a Snapsheet customer and the founder and CEO of Clearcover, Kyle Nakatsuji. Welcome to our Fireside chat. Thanks for joining me, Kyle.
Brad, that was awesome. I feel like I'm on a talk show.
Yeah, I've had some experience in the past life.
Fantastic.
Well, cool. Well, let's just jump right into a little Q&A. So, given how much time we're devoting to our companies, and now with our offices being closed, or at least Snapsheet's office is closed for the rest of the year, and the quarantine measures still in place, it's like impossible to separate, work and life. So, like, how are you integrating the two these days?
Yeah, I mean, look, the days all tend to run together, and I've found that some days the only reason to check the clock towards the end of the day is to figure out if I can have some whiskey. But I think to be very honest, the integration isn't much different. We work for startups, so it's not like work-life balance was all that great before. I've actually found it to be a positive personally because the commute goes away and you can spend a little bit more time working on your company and a little less time in between being home and working at your company. So it's been good. But you run a company too. So what about you?
Yeah, honestly, I feel the same way. Like, I'm actually more productive now than I was, in the work from home environment than I was at the office because like I'm like the crazy entrepreneur and I'm social and I like to talk to, everyone that we work with, in the lunchroom. And so, that's been hard for me not to have. But like our meetings are always like they start and finish on time. Like we're getting just it seems like a lot more done at work. Um, and then blending the family side with it, like I had a 2-hour commute every single day that was just kind of like dead. And so now I'm able to like eat, wake my kids up. I'm able to eat lunch with them, in between meetings. And like, it's just, it's actually been really great. And I'm enjoying kind of this work from home environment. So, since we've been working from home now for 6 months, do you have any hacks that that you could, or any tips of what's working for you?
I think you just have to be a lot more proactive about communication. I think you said it. Less happens unintentionally because you're not running into people in the hallway. You don't have that quick idea, and you go walk to somebody's desk and talk to them about it. So, it's not so much a hack, but I've found I've had to be much more intentional about communicating and let less happen organically because when you're
Yeah.
sitting alone in an office, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I have a 3-year old, a 2-year old, and a 12-week old. So, I'd have to say like my hack is to unplug the baby monitors at night so I can like get a full night's sleep or at least 6 hours. No, I'm just kidding. I think that, for me, I just have to focus on the balance, because, you are blending your work and life. You do seem to be working longer hours. And so I'll honestly, I focus on exercise. So I try to exercise at least once a day to kind of keep my mind sharp. And it's working for me.
That's good. I have a
So
chair wedged against my office door so my dog doesn't burst in. So maybe that's a hack too.
that's awesome. Um, so we've both been in the game now for a while, and speaking of just coming up with ideas and starting companies, you know, it'd be great to understand like how did you start Clearcover and where did the idea come from?
Yeah, look, I was fortunate to help start the venture capital team at American Family Insurance back in 2012. That's actually when we first met, and so we were in this very fortuitous position where we got to meet with a ton of smart people like you and like spend all day talking about the future of the insurance industry. And ultimately we just came up with a handful of ideas we wanted to invest in, and some of them we found, and some of them we didn't. One of them was, how would you go out and build, the next great PNC insurance carrier? And I spent a while looking for it and had some ideas for how you would do it, and ultimately didn't find someone. So decided to take the leap. It was a lot of borrowing the best ideas from people smarter than me, and then finally having the courage to say, all right, I'll go try.
Yeah. It definitely, it takes a lot of courage. And at Snapsheet, I got in a car wreck. I took my car to 3 different body shops. I got completely different estimates. It was super frustrating, time consuming. And I just thought to myself, there's got to be a better way to go through this process. And I obsessed about my idea of digitizing, the claims process, just to create the best experience possible when someone gets in a wreck. And after a couple of years of obsessing about it, I decided to take out my life savings and take the plunge. And so it always takes a lot of guts and will, but once you jump in, it's amazing what you can actually create. So, the idea of starting a company as, founders, a lot of people look at us and they say, do all of the great ideas come from the top? And I think the reality is that the best organizations, like, great ideas come from, all over the organization, but, depending on, where you are or what you're doing. And so I like to understand at Clearcover, like, where do some of the great ideas come from in your organization?
Rarely from me, really. I think you're right. You said it. They come from everywhere. Like we're big subscribers to the Andy Grove School of Management, and one of those principles is sort of pushing down decision making and autonomy as close to the facts as possible, which often resides in like the folks who have their sleeves rolled up and are doing the work every day. There's a lot of theory around this. I won't get into all of it, but we just try and create an environment where we build processes and systems that push that autonomy down so that people can not only have great ideas, but like test them out and execute. Like I think that agility and ability to not just have the idea, but work on it at some layer of the company is really critical.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like at Snapsheet, from my perspective, like a big part of our success comes from our culture, and like I encourage innovation and like thinking outside the box at all levels of our organization. I mean, one of our core values is be the next, and we always try to not rest on our laurels, and we always say, kind of like from my founder story, like there's got to be a better way to do this. And so, it's just ingrained in us day in and day out. Like we're always thinking about, is there, something else we could be doing to shave time off of this, or to create a better experience, or to leverage technology. And we like to, encourage everyone to always come to the table and think different, because like, if we're not innovating, then, we're going to get passed up, by the next guy.
I had an interaction with you probably a year and a half ago that really stuck with me. I ran into you on the street on my way into the office. And I was telling you about all the great work our teams were doing together and how excited I was about, some of the stuff we were working on. You kind of like nodded at me and smiled. You're like, yeah, cool. What can we do better? Like that immediately to it, right? And like I think it's that sort of that moment stuck with me. That attitude I think is really pervasive in your company, which is a testament to you and just I think really, really kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. I remember that interaction, and yeah, I mean that's how we think about everything. And there are good times when you're building a company, and there are tough times when you're building a company, and there's a lot of decisions that are made along the way. And in the media, and when you're talking in fireside chats and things, like a lot of times people focus on like the great things, but there's definitely times that you make the wrong decision. So, I hate to put you on the spot, but, would you care to share, as a time where you made the wrong decision at Clearcover, and how, that affected you as a leader in the organization?
Yeah, look, I've made plenty of poor decisions. I think so. One thing is like I'm a subscriber to the value of execution over ideas. So I think it's like it's really about execution. And what I would note is that there's a difference between a process and outcome. Like we've had bad processes and good outcomes, and that looks like a good decision in hindsight, and it in fact is not. And we've had great processes and bad outcomes, and that looks like a bad decision, and in hindsight, it actually was a good one. And so we've had a bunch of both. I think the bigger mistakes I think we have made are of commission, not omission. So like we rushed to do something and we weren't ready, and it ended up dragging on forever. And I won't get into all of the specifics, but like we try to think hard about process versus outcome, and we try to make a lot fewer mistakes of commission and not omission. And we try to make sure we have good processes, worry about the process, not necessarily the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for us, it was like our original business model. We were like a B2C company focused on, people that were paying out of pocket to get their car repaired. when the reality was that 90% of the people that are getting their car repaired are going through insurance. And when we started looking at insurance companies and talking with them, we realized that most of them were built on old legacy systems, and they had very little technology when it came to claims. And so, you have to be open-minded and willing to change, and learn from, the decisions, the bad decisions that you make. Another one that comes to mind that has, honestly, if we didn't change then, or we didn't realize that we were wrong, would have had a massive outcome on our business, was in the early days when we had estimators. They were all in our office, like collaborating and working together and like looking over each other's shoulders. And I thought that was like so amazing that they could, just like how accurate they were and like how happy they were. But they would constantly ask, they say, hey, can we go work from home? Because we think we could do this just as well. And for a long time, I was like, absolutely not. We need to be here. We have to work together. This is how we're going to innovate and come up with ideas. And eventually they, after like the 10th time of asking, one of them said, look, let's just put metrics down. If we can be just as efficient, just as, fast, just as accurate, why not let us work from home? And so I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And of course, like they were better, faster, they were more accurate, and they had a better customer sat score. So, eventually, like we pivoted our business model and we became a virtual company. And if we hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have built all of the supporting like work from home technology that we're now out selling today, like the omni-channel communication for customers to communicate and the workflow management tools. Like if I had kind of stuck to the poor decision that I made early on, like we would not have all of the technology that we've built today to be kind of like the best in the industry.
That's great. That's a great story.
So our journey doesn't happen in a bubble, especially in the early days. Like as a founder, you're coming up with the ideas, you're doing the product, you're hiring people, you're cleaning the toilets. Like, what's some advice you can give to some early entrepreneurs about what they should be doing, or what's the greatest impact? What's some advice that you could just give them for their business that you followed?
Yeah, look, it's hard, and I think I didn't realize going into it how much of the job was people. So for early founders, that's usually my advice, is like you really have to think about the people side of it. And I there's this common, it's cliche, but works, which is if you're describing something complex, you would say like, oh, it's like a 3-dimensional game of chess. And what I usually tell people is you're running a startup is like a 3-dimensional game of chess, but you have to convince the pieces to move. Right? Because like sometimes you have this game plan in your head and you show up to work that day and you say like, oh, like knight to e5, and the knight says like, no, I'm a rook today. And so now your whole plan is thrown off. So it's like this notion of it is really a people-centric business, and you really have to think about how to motivate, how to build a strategy around getting the most out of people. Like that's the advice that I share most frequently.
Yeah, that's great. I would say, very similar, like you have to be comfortable with the unknown, because there's just a lot of things that you're going to jump into that, are not, black and white. So, a lot of big entrepreneurs, you have to trust your gut. You have to learn from the mistakes, very quickly. And, you have to out hustle your competitors is, what I like to say. Great ideas are literally, they're a dime a dozen. And so, in order to really build a company, it takes hard work and dedication and, being resilient. About your business, because people are going to say that it doesn't make sense or it won't work, and you have to just have blinders on and just keep cruising on. So, it looks like we're actually running out of time. So maybe we'll go to, one or two more questions. Kyle, what are some of your biggest bets for the next, 10 years in the industry?
Yeah. Look, our mission is to be, the number one destination for the digital insurance consumer. And we got a lot of bets going on around that. But I think, pertinent to the conversation we're having today, we're partnering with you guys. We're super excited about that. And I think we're gonna be, I can't share it quite yet, but we have some really, really interesting stuff coming out on the claims side. That's when you fulfill your promise to the customer in the insurance business. And I think you guys have led the way, but there's still a lot of digital opportunity out there. So we're excited. We're working on some really cool stuff to streamline the claims process to sort of get to this, holy grail of touchless, and like there's some really exciting stuff coming. I wish I could share more, but certainly we're happy to be working with you on it, and we'll I'm sure we'll do a joint press release and
Yeah,
all that exciting
we
stuff
are
comes
really
out.
excited about a bunch of stuff that we're working on, and from us, and what we want to offer is automation, digitization, mobile first. The industry is going to endure like massive change because of customer behavior, and software is going to lead this transformation. The amount of data and analytics that we have at our fingertips is really going to drive like bolder business decisions that we're going to be making today, right? To streamline the insurance value chain, the life cycle from all the parties involved. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in the industry, and we're excited to be working with you all at Clearcover. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
But no, thanks for inviting me. This would have been fun in Vegas, but
It
this
would
will
have
work
been.
too. And we'll make up for it in Vegas next year, I think.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, Kyle. And if any of you would like more information on Snapsheet, you can go to our website, or you can email me at brad@snapsheet.me. We're also hosting a big event with Plug and Play on November 4th. So be on the lookout for more information to come and attend the webinar. So Kyle, thanks so much for joining me. And thank you, ITC, for having us as
Thanks,
well.
Brad. Thanks, everyone.